Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. I'm Stylosa, and in this video what we're going to do is cover this massive blog which has just gone out onto the Play Overwatch website. It is the Overwatch 2 developer blog, post-launch updates on gameplay, maps and competitive. Now what makes this really good is it goes into detail on hero win rate, so we can see if heroes are OP or if heroes aren't OP. What is the community perception? The community might say this tank is super OP, but actually the stats may say something else. And this is great because we get to see behind the scenes what the developers are actually working with. And I think that's really cool. They also go into detail on future buffs and nerfs as well, in terms of, well, no, that's not fair. They don't go into detail on them. I can't say that, but they go into, they speak about heroes that maybe they're looking at, which might lead us to this hero is going to get buffed, i.e. Doomfist is being looked at for Season 2. So let's get stuck into this. It's a big blog post, so grab yourself a drink because we're going to go over it in detail. So let's do this. So it begins with this. Since the launch of Overwatch 2, we've welcomed millions of both new and returning heroes to the game. While most of our updates so far have been about our efforts to address game servers and stability, we also know players are eager to hear out what we are working on for gameplay and other topics. We've seen Sojourn, Junker Queen and Kiriko completely rock the landscape of the game, blasting and slicing their way into many victories on the battlefield. Today, we want to look back at the first week of this brand new chapter for Overwatch and share with you our team's current thinking on hero balance and gameplay. So really cool stuff. Obviously, I've read through this only once, but I've read through it, and I've got a good outline of what the article is. But it's just, this is good. We love this. This again goes back to that whole thing of more communication from Blizzard, and this definitely is because they go into detail, and like, I love it. If this is going to be a weekly thing, Blizzard, I'm loving it. Make it weekly. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's talk about hero balance. So, while some heroes are performing better than others and there are differences across player skill levels, we have been happy to see that no hero's overall power level is far out of line with our goals. Every hero on the roster has a win rate between 45% and 55%, and we're not planning any immediate balance changes on what we're seeing, with the exception of a targeted adjustment to Zarya in Total Mayhem, which should go live with our next major patch on October the 25th. Now, curiously, they've also nerfed Zen's interaction with Kiriko's ultimate, so he doesn't get the attack speed buff, but they've not mentioned that in this blog post, but hey, whatever. So yeah, they say, instead, our team is planning to make a series of balance changes for Season 2 that are in line with our design and goal of ensuring the overall game feels balanced and fair while giving each season a more distinct identity. So, the crucial takeaway from that, we ain't getting no balance changes until next season. And remember, seasons run on a 9-week rotation and we're only 1 week into this season. So, we've got another 8 weeks basically another, well, yeah, another 8 weeks of this until any changes come in. But I'm sure if there are major problems with the game, they will come in and fix them. They have said that before, but they're not looking to shake up the meta because, hey, it is a new game and it's only a week old. So it would be radical if they started coming in and heavily buffing and nerfing heroes right now. But maybe it's something they could look at a bit later down the line. But I guess, like they said, they're just going to do that for Season 2 instead of messing with this season, which, yeah, that's fair enough. It's fair enough. While we continue looking at hero performance and listening to player feedback prior to finalizing any specific changes to balance for Season 2, we want to share more about what we're seeing so far. So this is the bit I really love. This is so good. I love this stuff. So, tanks fighting on the front line. Now, tanks are crazy OP at the moment, but then I think they have to be because there's only one tank. I've been playing loads of Zarya, and in fact, I was laughing to one of my friends earlier on today, and I was like, it was a Zarya game, and I had like 19 eliminations and no kills. No, I had 90 eliminations and no deaths. That's right. Massive damage. The enemy team just kept charging me. See, the thing with Zarya is, old Zarya, you could outplay her when she popped the bubble. So if she popped the personal bubble, you'd be like, okay, she's popped the personal bubble, it's gone, now we can burn Zarya. But now, she's got another one in reserve, and you don't know when that's going to come out. And because she's just tankier, yeah, she can take hits, throw the barrier up again, and then the other barrier is getting close to being recharged. It's disgusting. You can get really high charge, and they do touch on that in this article. But I love Zarya, and I've been getting some like sick games with Zarya. It's disgusting. Anyway, this is what they say. Since shifting to a 5v5 format, we see many players focusing more on the tank role given the heightened importance of a single tank in role queue modes. One of the most talked about heroes on the roster right now is D.Va, with buffs after her last beta after the last beta to her defense matrix and micro missiles. She can put up a fight longer than she could before the launch of Overwatch 2. Despite many players saying she's one of the best tanks in the game, which I was one of those players, she is one of the best tanks in the game. She definitely is. The stats, though, don't really agree with that, because the stats say Reinhardt, Sigma, and Zarya actually currently lead up the competition with an average 53% unmirrored win rate. Yeah. Zarya's new ability to choose where to place each of her 2 particle barriers often allows her to build up high energy very quickly, which is something we're currently keeping a close eye on for potential changes next season. She's got to be nerfed, because she just gets so much charge. Because the thing is, like, players, like when you're bubbling yourself, players get wise to that eventually, and they won't just keep piling damage into the tanks. And in fact, I think players are starting to get a little bit wise to that now, and in a lot of cases are just almost ignoring the tank and fighting everybody else. So this as well ties into Reinhardt, because I think one of the reasons why Reinhardt is super powerful is he just barrel rolls into your team and everyone's shooting him. It's like, no, just ignore him. Run away from him and kill everyone else, because if the healers, I mean, if they've got an Ana and it's just pumping heals into the Reinhardt, it's very hard to kill him. So I think as the game matures, players are less focused on the tanks, and then so I think tanks like Reinhardt might start dropping down in win rate, but you never know. This is just all crazy, wild speculation off me, but I think Zarya definitely does need looking at, and they clearly say they are looking at her, because Zarya just does like massive amounts of damage. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I still think D.Va's a good pick, and Winston as well is a good pick. But it's interesting, isn't it, that Sigma, Zarya, and Reinhardt are actually the tanks with the highest win rate at the moment. Junker Queen was a dominant force during the last beta playtest. Because of that, we applied changes to her commanding shout to reduce dominant. Hang on. Have they made a typo, or have I just lost my mind? Because of that, we applied changes to her commanding shout to reduce how dominant the Brawly Deathball team competitions were at the highest skill levels, including Overwatch League Summer Showdown. We'll keep an eye on her performance in the upcoming weeks to ensure she's an effective tank and fun to play. I mean, I've really enjoyed playing Zarya into... Well, this is the other thing as well. Playing Zarya into Junker Queen is just a win. Playing Zarya into a D.Va is just a win. Playing Zarya into literally anyone who isn't got a barrier. So if it's a Sigma or a Reinhardt, it's annoying for Zarya, but everyone else, you can just laser them down. Even a Winston, just laser him down. He might drop his barrier, just run through his barrier. Anyway, whatever. The team is also monitoring Doomfist performance and play rate compared to other tanks. As we look to Season 2, we think it makes sense to evaluate his overall tanking ability and potentially make improvements to Power Block and Meteor Strike. Yeah, massive improvements are needed here. Power Block is... It's garbage. When he uses Power Block, he just... is it 90% the incoming damage? I think it's something like that. But he basically heavily reduces incoming damage and it charges up his empowered fist. But that's it. It's crap. It's like he just does this, right? It needs some sort of... I think Doomfist needs a bit of like CC immunity more so than what the other what the tanks get with their passive. It's almost like when he's doing that, it's like, could you reward him for blocking certain abilities? I don't know. Could you even make it... This probably would be a bit silly, but if it was like Sigma's Suck, where he could actually delete and eat stuff, that might be really good. So if he could eat like a Grav or something, that'd be really cool. I don't know, but he definitely needs looking at, because he's just crap. Like, there's no reason to play Doomfist, because there's just better dive tanks than him. And he's obviously in a bit of a bad place, because Blizzard are making a note here saying like, yeah, we're looking at Doomfist performance. So yeah, does need looking at Doomfist. It's really not great, Doomfist. Poor Doomfist. Poor Doomfist mains as well. I mean, they've completely gutted his movement, which is the worst thing about Doomfist. Changed the way some of his abilities interacted with the environment, which isn't great. So it means rollouts are more difficult to do, and edge slams and stuff like that, I think, are all much more difficult to do. So it's not great. Anyway, what about this? Slicing through the competition. Now, this is about competitive. And yeah, this is what they say. The damage roll has seen many hero combinations across all... Well, it's about DPS, rather. We'll get onto competition, the competitive in a moment. Competition confused me, but whatever. The damage roll has seen many hero combinations across all ranks, but we've noticed some popular picks among our players. Genji and Sojourn started as the most popular heroes when Overwatch 2 launched, but they've since leveled out to the rest of the damage roster. Genji, off with a dominating win rate, and although it's lowered slightly since launch, it's currently at 52%, so that's really good. That's higher end. You know, think of the 45 to 55%. I do apologise. I have been drinking Pepsi Max, which is no good for me, and it's bloating me up, but whatever. I digress. We want to make sure he's not dominating the playing field. We'll watch Genji carefully throughout the season to ensure he doesn't slice up the competition too much and may make adjustments in Season 2. One way we are considering doing this is through an adjustment to the damage roll passive, which has particularly benefited heroes like Genji. So yeah, that's the fast reload and the movement speed when you get an elimination. So yeah, I think this is not an adjustment, an admission almost of we're going to probably nerf Doomfist next season, but we're waiting for the data. But 52% is kind of high, so they probably want to knock him down a little bit, so we'll see. Sombra is also hacking her way through the backlines in many games. We adjusted her damage potential to be optimal on targets that she hacks. However, we want to ensure her targets have a reasonable time to fight back. So we'll continue to look to balance her hack ability lockout duration when we approach Season 2. We've also heard feedback that tanks feel oppressed when a Sombra is focusing them with hacks, which will also be something we'll look to control next season, and it definitely is. So think about the change they've given to Zen. Now, the Zen change is when Zen is in Kiriko's ultimate, he does not get the attack speed component of that ultimate anymore because they've just decided that makes him too OP. The thing here, though, is Sombra, when she hacks tanks, it's really annoying and it can stop you doing it because you just constantly hacked over and over again. In a lot of ways, it's more effective than actually shooting the tank. Well, it definitely is. It doesn't feel great. So maybe there's a world in which hack has a different interaction on tank characters, much like Zen has a different interaction with Kiriko's ultimate, and everyone else gets all the full benefits, but he doesn't. That might be their balance philosophy now, because remember, this is a new balance team. The old head of hero design and balance, Jeff Goodman, is long gone out of the company. So yeah, this is a brave new world, I think. And it might be good, might be bad, we don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. But it's good that they're actually talking about it. It's really cool. Symmetra and Torb are two other damage heroes that we are keeping a close eye on now. Over the course of the first week, their win rates have been gradually increasing, and they are showing the highest win rates now at some ranks. Well, not Torb, he's just been removed at comp. Well, you can still play him in quick play, I guess, but you can't play him in comp. Although, I must say, the thing, I played a bit of Torb, and I'm not sure if I was like unwittingly using the bug where he got double overload. I don't think I was, but the reason I was picking Torb is he's just great against tanks. Like Torb, you can just run in and smack him, overload, right click, massive damage to the tanks, and you were just deleting them. And your turret was really good for annoying Sombra if she was annoying your backline, or annoying a Tracer if Tracer was just annoying your team. So Torb was actually not a sleeper pick, but I think he was quite effective. I'd much rather play him than Reaper because he just, I don't know, because he's always got the long range poke as well. Anyway, yeah. So Sim and Torb, both heroes can be effective counters to Genji and may be enjoying their success due to his popularity. It's a good point. When we look at, have I got out of focus? Hang on. There we go. I haven't. I'm fine. When we look at potentially making changes to them, we need to keep in mind the landscape of the rest of the hero roster. For example, if Genji is tweaked and possibly played less, these heroes might see less success and not need adjustment themselves. So that's cool. Cool bit of insight there. But it's very logical and it makes sense. Okay, so Kiriko section now. Sly as a fox. Kiriko has been well received by the community, with an initial play rate of over 75% in most matches when we first launched, making her an instant favourite among many players. This play rate has since balanced out compared to other support heroes. However, her win rate increased from 48% to 52% as players learned her kit and playstyle over this past week. Her healing averages in the middle when you compare it to the rest of the support roster, so fine. And her damage output right now is about even with Anna, which is relatively low compared to heroes like Lucio, Moira, and Brig. Okay, hang on. Let's just touch on this for a second. Kiriko has got an extremely high skill ceiling with her damage potential. So if you land the hits, you do massive damage, but you need to headshot people because body shotting for 40 damage, that's crap. You need to get the headshots and the critical hits for 120 damage. Now, I think, as they kind of alluded to in that section there, when players get better at the game, some things will start to increase. So already, Kiriko's seen an increase in her win rate because people have been able to play her for a week in quick play. Competitive's a different ball game altogether, but I think things like her damage, when players get used to that, we could be seeing a lot of damage coming out of Kiriko. And also as well, there is a bit of an argument where you can say the damage figures might be it might not be as high as Lucio or Moira or Brig. Definitely not Moira, because Moira can do a lot of like sustained damage. But Kiriko might be getting effective eliminations. Kiriko might be actually getting kills, you know, which Moira might not be as often. But this is going to be something which is going to change as time goes on, right? Players get better with Kiriko. You'd expect her damage stats to go up as well. At least I would. I think that just makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, Kiriko gets a lot of value in her evasiveness with wall climb and swift step to get out of harm's way, allowing her to stay alive in teamfights and making her the most survivable support hero on the roster. Definitely. We're keeping an eye on how she performs in the weeks ahead of Overwatch League playoffs next month. Okay, so she's going to be usable in Overwatch League playoffs. I've not spoke to anyone from any Overwatch League team, so I don't know what the plan is, if Kiriko is going to be used or not. I guess she probably is, because she's quite good, but then you never know. They might have other plans, but it looks like Blizzard are just going to focus on that and make adjustments if needed, because I think we have got next week, actually, Kiriko should go into comp, I think, shouldn't she, at the end of next week? I think it's a 2-week period, and then we'll start to see if she's really that dominant. But I think it's really cool. I think her kit is really, really good. But on the face of it, it does look crazily OP, just because, like it says here, she's extremely survivable. Oh, God. That's not the... I pressed spacebar, but it didn't matter. It only went down a little bit. She's extremely survivable, which... well, yeah, like it goes without saying, right? She can teleport through walls. All right, then, let's move on to this. Missions around the world. So, there's actually a map pool for Overwatch, and I didn't know there was, and this is the first time I've heard of this for Overwatch 2 anyway. We did have map pools before, back in the day, but there was no mention of this prior to this post. So, basically, what they're doing is, for Season 1, we're playing the following maps for both quick play and competitive play. Now, they do say to support the goal and also allow our team, when we think it's appropriate to make adjustments to our maps, we've begun to run a map pool featuring all new locations. Now, this is something probably because they've got that many maps, right? So if a map isn't working great, they can take it out of rotation and look at the map and maybe make some changes. Anyway, obviously, the famous examples of this is Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony that got removed out of the game and never added again, although they are now for the defunct 2CP assault mode, which doesn't exist in Overwatch anymore anyway. So, well, you can play in custom games, I think. Anyway, control maps, you've got Ilios, Lijiang, Oasis, Nepal, and Busan. Escort, you've got Circuit Royale, that I always call Casino Royale, Dorado, Route 66, Gibraltar, and Junkertown. Hybrid, you've got Midtown, Kings Row, Eichenwald, or Eichenwalde, as we should say it, but we're all idiots, so we say Eichenwald. Hollywood, talking about pronouncing Pariso, Lucio's map. Push, we've got New Queen Street, Colosseo, and Esperanza. I think I've said that right. So yeah, that's the map pool. And they do say each subsequent season, we will rotate some maps out of the map pool and bring others back that had been previously out of rotation. As we continue to rotate maps in and out, we'll be looking at improving and tweaking them. So, for example, when Rialto returns to Season 2, players will notice a few spots where we have added additional cover, which should help the map play better in the 5v5 environment with reduced shields. Cool. Actually, that's cool. Because Rialto, yeah, that's cool. Good stuff. For players who want to play maps not currently in the map rotation, go away to custom game or the arcade. Yeah, but this is cool, Rialto. So they've added extra cover to Rialto and stuff. So, okay, that's fine. That's cool. I guess they just didn't have enough time to finish that before the launch of the game, and I guess it's kind of like low priority. If you've got a load of maps, you can just say, look, get the guys who are working on that, adding extra cover to not work on that map. We'll have them work on something else, and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's probably just allocation of resources. Okay, now we are onto the competitive section. So, climbing the ranks. Our team would like to apologize for ranking many players too low during the first week of Overwatch 2. We discovered a bug that was impacting player skill ratings, which is what contributed to many players being placed in Bronze 5 when they should have been placed higher. Our most recent patch included a fix that will help you get back to your true rank quickly, and that will be reflected the next time you receive a competitive ranking update. You will receive a boost as you continue playing to help get you up to the correct ranks. Players who haven't yet placed in competitive won't experience this issue after the fix goes live. Good stuff. We're also watching your feedback about how we present your skill tier and division and how you celebrate that in-game. While we don't have any details we can share, yet expect us to make more improvements to competitive and we will continue to watch for your feedback. Okay, so that last paragraph there is actually pretty cool. So it doesn't show you what your rank is anywhere, and I've noticed that a lot of streamers have just been having to like add this onto the screen. It looks kind of a bit cheap, although some of them have done it in great ways. They've almost like added it as another UI element to the screen. Now for streamers it makes sense, right? Because if you're going to watch a streamer, you're probably like, well, what rank is this person I want to see? I think it's fine showing you your own rank yourself, but I think where Blizzard have got the issue is plastering your rank all over the game to show the other players in the match, because one of the main reasons for not having your rank displayed in the game anywhere when you join a comp game to other players, that is to stop them going like, okay, we're in a Masters game, but we've got a diamond on our team. Like, who's this diamond? He's so bad. And you get that toxicity element that comes into the game. If you don't have those ranks, players are just like, okay, they must be my rank because they're in my game, and then they play. And it does reduce toxicity. So it is a viable thing that those ranks are hidden. But I do understand players wanting to see their own rank. And I guess this whole thing of different ways to celebrate in-game, maybe there'll be like, I don't know, a different way to edit your player profile, or maybe you can have a banner, but I guess that would defeat the object of it because it does show you banners at the start of games. But by the way, have you guys noticed that sometimes you don't actually get that screen? You know, like the screen which shows the teams against each other for competitive. Sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. Like, unless I'm tripping, like I only see that every now and again. I don't know whether it's because maybe you connect slower or you connect too fast. I don't know. I really don't know, but I don't see that every match, which is kind of weird. It's probably a bug, but whatever. And also, obviously, the big thing here is all the players were ranked too low, basically, and there was too many people in Bronze 5 for some mad reason. So they've implemented a boost, so after you do your next 7 wins, you should go straight back up to wherever you kind of were next game. And like I've said before, well, I said earlier on in the video I made earlier on today, well, this is going to be weird now because I'm not putting this video out today, I'm going to put this video out tomorrow, but whatever. Yeah, I did my DPS placements and placed in gold 1, I think it was. And I was like, hang on a minute, like I don't think I should be this low, but that's the reason it put me too low. And I'll be honest, some of the games have been terrible, like in a good way for me, because I'm going in and getting massive amounts of eliminations, and it does feel a bit like, who are these players on the team? But then on the other hand, I've gone into games and just been absolutely destroyed by a Widow, and I'm like, what is this Widow? It's like some global elite Counter-Strike Widow destroying me. So yeah, everything is all over the place. But yeah, good stuff. And then I think this is the end. Oh my god, I think this is the end. It's still quite a bit. So they say, thank you for week 1, and here's to many more. Finally, we want to ensure games play out fairly for all our players in all matches. In a future patch, we'll fix an issue that could cause some rubber banding in game. In fact, I was getting this today after the patch today, and it was absolutely unplayable. Like every player was like going all over the screen. It was terrible. So this needs to be sorted, I guess. I don't think it was my connection because everybody in the match was moaning about it. Could be a bad server we joined, I don't know, but I have seen other people on Twitter, a couple of other streamers and that, going like, oh my god, we're all lagging, and they all seem to be based in EU. So maybe it's just an EU issue, I don't know. Anyway, we want to focus on we also want to be certain that hit registration for shots fired is working pixel perfectly. We have investigated reports from players about hit registration, and many reports are actually related to how our replay tool works, which does not perfectly capture the alignment of each player's aim. And importantly, for hit scan heroes, players should be looking at where their crosshair was at the moment they fired, instead of trying to follow the bullet trail, which can also be covered by muzzle flash effects. There are also misconceptions about our controller settings on PC, how our controller settings on PC work, which does not affect mouse input. As an example, aim smoothing on a gamepad does not impact mouse input latency or precision. However, in one report we discovered a bug that affected the hitbox alignment of our rendered objects for Junker Queen in some specific situations, and we're working diligently to fix that issue. We also understand that some PC players have concerns with input responsiveness and recommend trying out these changes to improve how quickly the game responds to player input. Make sure the in-game resolution settings matches your actual monitor set resolution. So I mean, that goes without saying. You would do that if you was on PC, unless you were mental. So yeah. And this though, I'm joking. I best have a drink on this. Oh, that's not good. That's going to gas me right up. That is. Anyway, this. Okay. I bet you should all do this. If you ever watch my gameplay footage, you'll notice it's 240 FPS, right? All the time. It's because you lock your FPS to your monitor's refresh rate and then adjust your graphical settings so you always get that FPS, right? That reduces input lag and input delay, and that's what you should be doing, right? So don't just go like, You always try and say, just do this, do it, right? Set the cap frame rate to a value that matches your monitor's maximum frame rate. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, turn on NVIDIA Reflex and Boost. Yes, do that. Otherwise, turn on reduced buffering for other GPUs. So if you've got an ATI, oh my God, I'm showing my age there. AMD, ATI Radeons. What world am I from? I didn't. What did I have? An X. Oh my God, it was X700 PT. XT700 PT Platinum Edition. Was it 700 or X2? I don't know. This is ancient graphics cards from years ago. I'm talking about whatever. I remember I had to ship it in from the United States. My God. Anyway, if you haven't... I've just read that, so I'm an idiot. Finally, in your gameplay options, do this as well. Turn on Enable High Precision Mouse Input to speed up how frequently your mouse captures position in the game. Yeah, do that. And then finally, they say, thank you to all the players who were part of the first week of Overwatch 2. While this time has been incredibly exciting for the community and our team, it also came with many challenges that we're looking to address quickly. We will continue to listen to player feedback as we strive to make Overwatch 2 the best game it can be. And I told you I shouldn't have necked some of that. We are looking forward to sharing more in the coming weeks leading up to Season 2. In the meantime, we hope everyone's having a blast in the game, and we will talk again soon. Good. Now, I like this, right? I know this has been a bit of a chunky video. I said there was a lot to cover in it. Buffs, nerfs, all of that stuff. It's really cool. I like this, and if they do this every week, that'll be cool. It's probably a bit of an ask, but then is it? I don't know. They should do this every week because it makes us feel connected to the game, and we can also see what the devs are looking at, how they want to push the game forward in certain positions, where they're going to put their development time in some ways. Hey, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. All right, guys, thank you for listening to or watching the video, indeed, if you watched it. And yeah, I've been Stylosa. You can follow me on everything, which is @Stylosa. And I will catch you lovely lot on the next one. By the way, keep sending in your replays for Overanalyzed, like the Spectating series that I'm doing and Guess the Rank. You can use the Overanalyzed link if you go to unitlost.com/overanalyzed. You'll be able to find it there. That's unitlost.com. And submit away. Remember, after every patch, replays get wiped. So I'm always after replays, so always send them through. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.